when we write grammar items, typically the specifications will say something like topics or functions should be appropriate at whichever level. So for example here we have specifications for an A1 grammar task and a B2 grammar task. So in this case the exponent is already specified for us. The A1 task wants us to look at questions, the B2 task wants us to look at passive forms, but both of these are appropriate at A1 level and B2 level respectively. Similarly, topic and function, it gives us a bit more of a broader specification to work with. It simply says appropriate at A1 level, appropriate at B2 level. So what does this actually mean? This is referring to this document here. So this is a distilled version of grammar exponents, functions and topics that are appropriate at each level. So we've put it into an Excel file, so we can see here at A1 level, grammar exponents. It gives you a list of all the grammar exponents we expect at that level. So you can see here, for example, number 60, question forms. That's what we're looking at in our item. And then similarly, functions. This tells us what kind of question it should be. So it could be a question where we ask for the time, for example, where we ask about directions, where we ask about personal information, and then also topics as well. So it talks about the topics that are appropriate at each level. So these are quite broad, even at all levels, so it's fairly straightforward to relate it to at least one of these topics. And then as we go through the levels, we can see it's developing as we go through. So by the time we get to B2, for example, we're on to past perfect continuous, future perfect, these kinds of things, and more complex functions, so describing more abstract things like opinions and disagreements and feelings and emotions and so on. And then similarly the topics are also developed. So here we've got things like business and culture and environment and so on. So that's what we are referring to when we say something needs to be appropriate at a particular level. You can see there are numbers here. This is because this document is based upon the equals core inventory, which is this document here, based upon the CEFR. And this is essentially going through what's appropriate at each level. So here on page 11, for example, it gives you an overview of what they have at each level. And then as you scroll down documents, it's giving you a lot more detail. And you can see here it's assigning numbers to the different aspects it's talking about. So the numbers in that Excel document are corresponding to these numbers here. And sometimes as well, when you're writing an item, it will be necessary to make a note of the number that you are using. So for example, grammar exponent number 64, present simple, function 5, giving personal information, topic daily life number 6, for example. You may be required to make a note of those numbers. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much for listening.